Hello and welcome back to my channel. Jacob Payton here, and I'll be talking about The Lake by Karl Largent. And it says, a watery grave, none can escape. It has this beautiful cover. This is obviously a paperbacks from hell book, or at least from that time setting. We are given like this crazy dragon catfish kind of creature with red eyes rising up from this lake. And it says, to save the environment, it had to be controlled. To save the people, it had to be stopped. To save the town, it had to be destroyed. The lake. From out of the depths rose a horror born of technological disaster, a terrifying force that defied the laws of nature and threatened mankind with a new kind of death. Bum bum bum. This book is kind of all over the place, to be honest. It basically follows a writer from Florida who is staying out of this lake, where he is spending his days drinking, not doing a whole lot of writing, and hooking up with a local lady by the name of Cyn, C-Y-N, who I believe owns a bank or has something to do with the bank, and used to be a one-time lover of the mayor, Forrester, who thinks she tried to ruin his life. Yeah, there's a lot going on here. All this small town drama quickly gets exacerbated once our main character discovers that these giant rotting gar are being caught out in the lake. At first, while they are pretty big, they don't seem super aggressive, but when his friend eats one and ends up dying basically immediately, he starts to get a little nervous, and then people start to disappear out on the lake, right? We have like these giant, essentially rotting fish with all these sores and all sorts of stuff on them, and if that wasn't bad enough, right across the lake is a toy company that seems to be behind a series of ecological disasters, one being the greenish gas that seems to rise from the lake like a fog all the time that kills plant life and everything. But of course, nobody really knows what they're up to. That's kind of the gist of the book. Obviously, it becomes a lot more than that. But one of the things I was kind of disappointed about is it really wasn't that much of an aquatic horror book, because while it did all center around the lake, we actually have very little, fish versus people deaths as the book unfolds. It becomes more about this toxic green gas that's rising from the lake. We discover that is what has turned all the fish, or at least the gar, into like these mutated monsters. And also the main character struggle with his, partner's ex-lover, the mayor, who has decided he's a bad guy. It is also kind of comical, the fact that because the town is so small and understaffed, that the sheriff and everyone else is super cool with the main character, who's essentially an alcoholic writer, to just kind of tag along on all the adventures and then even go investigating himself. It kind of feels like Jaws at a point, because much of the book is spent with the author, not the author, but the main character trying to close down the lake for it's having a lake jubilee type event because of the killer gar and the weird gas, and nobody listening to him, so then he has to go out and prove it. I don't want to spoil too much of the book for you, but I will say it diverts seriously from the fish, and then focuses on some World War I gas and a DARPA experiment, and takes an entirely different turn. Everything else I said aside, this was a pretty fun book in the way that most paperbacks from hell are fun. It was very much all over the place, and you really didn't see the next thing coming, which is kind of fun. At least I think it's fun. This could have been a B movie, I think. 110%. I feel like I've seen this movie. This really reminded me of what was the movie from like Barracuda from like the 70s, where they were dumping stuff into this like reservoir pond or reservoir lake, and then the barracuda became super aggressive and started attacking people. But that was only like part of the problem, because the main story is about like this outfit that's illegally dumping chemicals and all sorts of stuff like that. That's more really kind of what this book kind of takes on. I mean, it also has to deal with like land deals, and that's like a central part. So it has a lot of subplots with a larger overarching plot, which has nothing really to do with the lake monsters on the front cover, which was very disappointing, because I really wanted a story about people getting eaten by giant scary dragonfish like the cover says. But that being said, it was pretty fun. So if you do see this setting in a used bookstore or a thrift shop or something like that, 110% pick it up. I mean, if not, even if you don't read it, I mean, the cover alone, I think, is worth it. It is a beautiful cover. I would definitely read another book by our Karl Largent, because even though this wasn't 100% a straight up aquatic horror novel like I was hoping it was going to be, it was really, at least I thought, well written and well paced, and I gave a shit about most of the characters, even the minor townspeople who just kind of showed up to drink. Everyone felt like a pretty fleshed out character. Even if I didn't like them, they were somewhat interesting. So I would definitely read another book by him. And it does say that he is the best-selling author of Red Tide, so I think I will try to track that down, because maybe he's written other aquatic horror books that are more my speed and more of the creature feature that I'm looking for. But yeah, I don't know if this is in EPUB form. If it is, I will link it in the description. If not, you know, maybe the paperbacks are reprinted. But as always, you can always try to find them like I do in the wild. On Etsy's a good place. eBay's a bit high, and so is Amazon. I feel like personally, if I'm shopping for old paperbacks, the best place to find them is like flea markets, thrift stores, used bookstores, and then Etsy has been really awesome. But yeah, I like this book, even though it wasn't really what I thought I was going to get into once I started reading it. If you've read this book or read other books by R. Karl Largent, please let me know in the comments below. You know, if you liked it, didn't like it, or, you know, whatever your thoughts are about it. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.